So, welcome everybody to Rolling with Story. On this exciting episode, we've got Secg producing his TTRPG, Alpengard. Secg, we're really excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us. I kind of would like to hot start, and throw a sort of question to you. What inspired you to make a TTRPG game?
Great question. So I've been playing TTRPGs since the early 1980s. So I remember basic Dungeons and Dragons through intermediate and expert, and then advanced 1E and 2E, and then later played things like World of Darkness, Alien, every edition of Dungeons and Dragons, and Call of Cthulhu even thrown in there. But I've always drifted towards the fantasy, of course, a huge fan of the Lord of the Rings and similar genre. And just over time, I typically ended up as game master and world designer. And in the back of your mind, you're thinking, okay, maybe it's possible I'll get some major company to publish my world, but the odds are really slim to none. And then it clicked, hey, have the audacity to build your own game. So that's where Alpengard was born. And so really out of the seed beds of everything I'd been developing over the years, I then decided, hey, I need to make my own system, make sure it's different. And so I began it in 2011 and just launched it this year, 2025. So yeah.
So real labor of love. That's a big chunk. Nice.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that process then. What was the concept you kind of started with, and then how did it evolve over the time then?
Yeah, I started with wanting to maybe create a fantasy world that was a bit lower in magic and had a little bit more of what I call fantastical realism. Obviously, this is escapism. Yeah. We're doing things in these worlds that we're never going to do in real life. But at the same time, if it's got to have some grounding in reality, or it becomes so unrelatable. If the laws of physics completely go out the door, then it can get a little silly and a little too abstract. For me, I understand some people enjoy that, and that's totally cool. But I had also been introduced at an early age, can't say when, to this guy, the D30.
The D30.
I thought, okay, yeah, this is a cool die, and I really wanted to put it front and center. So that's when I began developing a mechanic that centers around the D30. And
wow.
Okay.
Definitely, and I know you've done lots of statistical work on Era's End as well,
yeah.
and I think it just, over the years, I had my core mechanic in place from the beginning, but I mean, play testing and figuring out, oh, that didn't work, or it's overpowered, and it took shape, as you're doing, had lots of play testers give me very candid feedback.
Yeah.
Eventually. Yeah. Brought it to where it is today.
So it runs on a D30 dice still?
Yeah.
Okay, you have to tell me a little bit about that. How we wrote, what modifiers we're doing, how do I make a test? I need to hear it.
Excellent. So yes, this is the cool die that is at the heart of the core mechanic. So it's a roll high system. Roll the D30, add your modifiers, attempt to hit a target number. If you equal or exceed that target number, if you succeed, if you fail, or if you come below, you fail. So pretty straightforward there. Another thing I wanted to do was, because I also like the D20 and the D10, and really I use the full 7 die set that everyone's familiar with.
Your classics.
From all the classics, and then this is the X Factor.
Yeah.
So it surrounds the D30 plus an energy pool called Pneuma.
Pneuma, I saw this on your website.
Yeah, Pneuma.
Super cool.
So it's, I'll show you the symbol for Pneuma. It's in the center of that.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
You'll see that throughout the book.
Yeah.
And it allows you to, so in addition, so this D30, I call this a standard roll. When you add your mods, it's effectively a base of 0, roll the D30, add your mods, aim for a target number. What you can do is, Pneuma lets you do many things, including fueling powers and really just about anything, but it also lets you upgrade your rolls and compress that 1 through 30 variable component. So if you burn 1 Pneuma, you can do an improved roll, and instead you start with a base of 10, and you add the d20. So that first statistical 1/3 is now a given, and you're in the upper 2/3 of your execution. And once you're high enough level, you can burn 2 Pneuma on, starting with a base of 20, and you instead roll a d6.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's really putting you in that upper third if you're in that upper echelon of the advanced, but at the same time, Pneuma is a limited pool that's going to recharge every day. And so if you're in a straight up fight that you think is going to be the only fight in the adventure for the day before your PC party has a chance to rest, you can do what my buddy Jesse calls a Pneuma dump and just
Pneuma dump.
And just
go.
Yeah, exactly. Do everything down to 0. But if you're in a dungeon crawl situation and you have no idea what's around the corner, you're suddenly having to play that conservatively.
Yeah.
So it allows you to push yourself into the upper echelon, and I felt that created the fantastical realism. So because you picture an expert, some lady who's just an amazing scientist in real world terms, or a member of His Majesty's Special Air Service, that ultra elite soldier. This is someone who has a very high fixed modifier representing skill level, and also has a very high Pneuma pool. So you can burn that 2 Pneuma at a time to stay in that ridiculously high percentage chance of success. But hey, anybody can get tired, right?
Yeah.
So that's reflected by a deranged Pneuma pool, and all of a sudden you're back to this in that 1 through 30 variable range. So a boxer, an elite boxer, hey, round 12, you're no less skilled than you were in round 1, but what you are is tired. So all of a sudden, your guard begins to drop. Your punches begin to be not as powerful. And this is reflected in the Pneuma drop effectively, whereas in those opening rounds, you could maybe be, in realistic terms, burning that Pneuma to try to knock your opponent out.
Yeah.
But then, so what you have simultaneously is an interplay of skill level, which doesn't change, and fatigue, or just energy level, which does change.
Okay, that's sick. I've got a question. Cool. Sam, I'm sorry. I've got a question straight off the bat again.
Carry on.
Lore of Pneuma. What is Pneuma? Is it like a mana? Is it energy? Straight away, I have to know what it is.
It's a Greek word for spirit. So and breath. So where we get words like pneumatic. So I think it's for sure. So I think it's the only word in Alpengard that didn't have an English root. So if you look through the character sheet and all the stats, you're going to see things like, why is he saying toil instead of athletics? It's because I wanted to put the kind of that old English spin. Even my name's Secg. That's an old English word. It means man, warrior, hero, and or sword. So I just wanted to pull that element into it. And
toil is a great word as well. Like toil's a sick word, yeah.
It turns out that there's a good old English word, thrun, which means power, force, and glory, and I really wanted to switch to that, but I'd already been using Pneuma for years, and my players just said, dude, what are you doing? We're used to this.
We're locked in now.
Okay, fine. Yeah, popular vote. We're sticking with Pneuma. Great word. And
it's good.
And energy pool you can use it's not just upgrading rolls. Powers cost Pneuma. At varying amounts, little augmentations of powers. Like, I threw fire orbs, but I'm also a wizard who took Way of the Sorcerer, and because I took Way of the Sorcerer, I can burn 1 Pneuma to convert fire orbs to ice orbs. And so I can switch it up. Whereas if I had taken Way of the Augur, or Way of the Priest, or Way of the Warlock, I would not have that option. So it created more paths of customization, and just the Pneuma costs.
I kind of love that it's breath, though. Something about that, like the magic coming from like the life-giving breath, just actually kind of like I do like that. That feels kind of.
I like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be a magical component.
Yeah,
it could be like just some. It's just like you were saying with the boxer. You could play a no magic game, couldn't you? And you could kind of control things by that. It's like that spirit, that like sudden fighter's motivation. Like that's super, super, super cool. That you've got a mechanic that works like that is applicable to so many things. That's really, 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 really nice. As well as that, I was going to ask you, and you've talked about loads of mechanics, but I want to ask you more because they just sound so cool. What mechanics are you like most proud of in your game?
In addition to the D30 and the compressing of the variable component and the Pneuma, another one is just what I call root traits, which are really just your ability scores. Over the years, I really wanted to be able to design a system that allowed you to play the personality you want to play and have it match your character. So, for example, in many systems, which are all great, but if you want to play an intelligent character, wizard, there is your professional option. And so I thought, well, wait a minute, shouldn't an intelligent warrior be every bit as deadly as a strong or quick one? And what if I wanted to play that character? Because so many times I saw people role playing and okay, I'm playing the life of the party. I have a high charisma stat effectively, but it absolutely doesn't make sense based upon what's written on my character sheet. So what I did with Alpengard is I have your 5 root traits: brawn, strength, lithe, agility, dexterity, smart, intelligence, wise, wisdom, and glint, which is your charisma. And yes, for a warrior, brawn and lithe are your typical focus for weapon attacks, but there are hacks and workarounds such that if I want to add my wise score for accuracy, I can take a power that allows me to do that. So all of a sudden I'm doing wise and lithe, and I could build a character who's very wise and very quick. Or I could do glint and brawn. Okay, this is a warrior who's very charismatic and very strong. So all of a sudden I can build the profile and the image I wanted in my mind and follow that role-playing path throughout this person's career. And similar for all the magic wielding calls as well. Normally with magic, it's you have kind of focuses for each of the calls, which are the callings or classes in this, but there are ways to break out of it and say, you know what, I want to play a really smart druid instead of a wise druid.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I like that. Actually, that's something that from like D&D, you do get kind of locked into things that you have to be the smart wizard or you have to be the wise druid, and like breaking out of that kind of rigidity is a good fix. I think that change like that is nice. I think that's really
cool.
Good. Yeah.
Well, thanks. Glad you like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I have a few others if you want to bear with me.
Yeah, no, keep
go,
going,
man, please.
All right. Well, over the years, of course, I loved collecting magic items with my characters. And oftentimes you'd notice that, hey, my favorite wand or ring became obsolete very early in my career. I said, oh, you're playing the samurai and you got your ancestral katana. Nice. Guess what? It's useless.
5 years down the line.
Yeah, exactly. Things I did with similar to the Pneuma concept is what I call entwinement. Ooh. So you can entwine magic objects to your soul. So the idea is the magic is in the object, your cloak or whatever it is, but then it also has to be awakened by entwining it to you, and then you have a certain number of entwined slots, and you can empower it at varying levels, from nadir to apex. And so
cool.
What that allows you to do is time your 30th level, which is maxed out in Alpengard.
Oh, 5 levels. That's nice.
Yeah, wanted to create, chase the carrot, right?
Yeah. That's wild.
Room for growth. So you can have items empowered at varying levels. And so, I didn't have to get rid of my favorite ring or wand or sword or whatever it was. I can boost it up to apex. I might have found something better, but it allows you to retain those magic items. And make them useful.
Because a lot of the time when we found it would become, the item would get its own character. Like, oh, this is my ancestor. There was one where Sam was literally playing a samurai. It was the thing he said, and there was a fight between this BBG. They were way underleveled, and he was nearly dead. And he goes, "I draw my father's blade," but the blade became like slightly obsolete, iconic, and we had to like level it up to keep it with the character, because the blade itself then had this like mythos around it of being Miyazaki's sword, and it was that sword, and you can't get rid of it because it's so now part of his character. So that's a really cool like way that you can keep your heartfelt items to carry them with you. I like that.
I love that. I love how you did that. That's great, because obviously you want to maintain that continuity. So it's not just somebody switching it out for the latest and greatest.
No,
that comes on the scene.
Exactly. Because Aragorn's not looking for a better sword.
No.
The mega sword
No.
turns up eventually.
Yeah,
but,
Narsil comes,
he's not swapping his blade out every time he finds one in Moria, is he? Like
No.
that's just lame.
Yeah.
Like that's not what it's about. I really like that. I really like that. I had a sort of thought about this. Like that you mentioned, it's not on the list of questions that we had, but I want to throw this one at you anyway. So you started this in 2011, and it's now, and you launched 2025, January 2025, if I'm correct, right?
Yep.
That's a really long project, and that's just amazing. It's just amazing.
It's so cool.
How did you get it to fruition? Like, did you Kickstarter? Is it self-funded? Like, what's your business model? If you're comfortable talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's self-funded. So I literally worked on this on weekends after work. Tell my wife, "Hey, I got to dive into this project," and work on it early on a Saturday or Sunday, and just knock it out bit by bit. And then, of course, making time to play test, which, of course, all your friends have busy schedules. And so it was bit by bit, and then really accelerated in the past couple years, and working with artists and with the play testers and getting things statistically accurate, and also in a literary sense as well. That was a long process, but and self-funded. So, and there could be disadvantages to that, because I know Kickstarter helps gain publicity, and as I know you gentlemen are going into with Era's End, you're going to have to get into the marketing at some point. And it's just a question of how and when.
That's the thing. That's the terrifying thing, isn't it? Like, you can work away for so long, just put so much of your love into these things, but like, marketing is such a massive part of it, and it's such like to kind of game designers, it's a bit of a foreign beast. Like, you don't really know about it, and then suddenly it's here, and it's like, okay, now you've got this. Need to do this whole other complete skill set that really you pay people for, because it is a completely new job. And you're like, okay, now you've got to do this. Right. Yeah.
It is. Was it when you put your game out and you printed copies? Are you print on demand, or did you batch print?
Yes, so it's print on demand through Amazon. Nice. I also have ebook on DriveThruRPG. And I ended up not doing the hard copy through DriveThruRPG because the format was a bit different. So I wanted to make sure that people, whether it was the soft cover or the hard cover, that people would get.
Oh, it looks so good. It looks insane.
It does look lush.
Glad you like it. I mean, it's it had to be a consistent product, so I just rolled with Amazon for the hard copy side. But yes, it is print on demand.
Nice.
So, nice. That's good. That's good, because we were thinking of probably doing a similar thing for hard and soft, like a print on demand thing, because there's
no capacity to hold
copies
of books,
print off a load of things, and it's such an investment. Then not get it back.
Yeah, that's a challenge, because you have to take the cash into whatever 1,000 copies to order on front.
Yeah, that's it.
Fill it all, and how soon do I make that back? But time, the print on demand costs, you have to navigate your way around that.
Absolutely. In your process, were there any design principles you sort of kept to, either in early stage or developed throughout the process? Did you have any of those principles?
Great question. Number one was make every point count. Because if a point isn't going to have some sort of effect, to me, it doesn't belong there. It's kind of like comedian Michael McIntyre's, I don't know if you've seen his sketch about Silent Letter Day, and just making fun of the existence of silent letters. Well, my wife and I enjoyed that one, but just why have silent letters?
Silent letters,
exactly. And of all of them, why K? Why? Which use that for silent letter. If it's there, it's just kind of creating clutter if it's not being used. So I wanted to make every point count. a root trait score point, which again is the ability scores, it's going to have a domino effect. You put a point into brawn, guess what? Your grit, which is my equivalent of hit points, just went up. Your carrying capacity just went up. Multiple life skills abilities just went up. Same with any of the other ones. They all feed into something. So again, that produces a customization. So 1 point matters. Allow for the customization, and the Alpengard character building process is on the crunchier side. So that was done deliberately. I realized that the squishier rules light ones are all the rage right now, which is great. Totally respect what they've done. I think they're terrific. On my end, I just wanted something so that two druids in the same party could both be different.
I really like that. Yeah, I really like that.
Because how many times have you guys felt restricted, whether it was in Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm not, looking forward to learning more about Era's End, but you feel like, oh, one person in the party is playing the monk, well, now I can't. Well, yeah, actually, you could. You could play a different monk. And yes, so of course there'll be some major similarities, but there'll also be some significant differences. So definitely wanted to go with that. And also I wanted life skills. Some of them are obviously combat oriented. So what I call lurk, speaking of Runa, that's her hide. Look, which is my spot equivalent. Those are going to come into play in a dungeon crawl or any other scenario. But what about things like chip, which is my woodworking, or like, so how can we make these worthwhile? Well, to recharge Pneuma, you have to have full nutrition and full hydration, which doesn't seem like much, but let's say you've been out in the desert 14 days and I, as the game master, deliberately ran you out of food and water, and you are now not recharging your Pneuma at the end of every day, and you just killed a demon. Can you eat it? Or is its flesh poisonous or diseased? And how do I know this? Well, I'm going to make you make a knowledge check related to this particular varmint you just killed. And you might have to make a cook check. And if you have improved or advanced cook, one of my buddies, Tat, from one of my gaming groups, he is deliberately stacking his character to become a master chef. And anytime they kill something, he's harvesting all of the parts that he can to make centipede stew, whatever it is, or ogre nuggets. And but it allows them in a desperate situation to make sure they can recover their Pneuma. So it brought those things into play. And in chapter 6, which is my life skills chapter, there are all kinds of suggestions on how to bring those not in the spotlight life skills into play during an adventure. So you know what? A master sommelier can go a dungeon crawling too. What if someone who can sniff some whiskey or sniff some wine and say, oh yes, this is a Shiraz that was grown on a north-facing hillside in a warm climate that gets fog, and somehow that helps you track down a criminal who's a very snobby criminal who enjoys buying this wine, and you think, okay, put our heads together, who in this town sells this particular wine? Okay, so all of a sudden a master somm is very useful to the party.
That's really cool.
That's really cool. Yeah. Almost like you can suss clues by just having like really sick skills. That's what. How many skills do you know? How many? So what? So you said you had your 5 main like attributes, and then how many like skills then, or like what your version was? 30.
30. Yes, I wanted to bring in. Separating look and learn. I have to pull out the list to read them all off.
No, yeah, 100%.
Everything from a dive, which is swimming, to smith, which is metallurgy and metalworking, and herd, which is just dealing with animals as well as riding them. And depending on what you do, they can all come into play. Like I said, your top 10 are probably going to be easier to work into it, and you really have to lean in to make something like taw, which is an old word for tanning, just leather working. To bring that in, you're going to have to stretch, but you can.
It's an option.
Yeah, exactly. And force the characters to make those checks at the end of a bunch of combat to really take care of their weapons and armor. Because Lord of the Rings, right? Swords get notched, shields get rent. Let's be real.
In a fighting
condition here.
That's awesome. Cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How many classes do you have in the game, and how do you kind of like separate them? Do you have like spellcasters, melee? How's your kind of differentiation in this?
Yeah, I have 5 calls, which are the callings. So I have Assaulter, which is your warrior, and you can use it to build anything from a heavily armored knight to a lightly armored rogue, an archer, bombardier, anything in between, full skirmisher, someone who's medium armor, likes to do hit and run. And you can take powers that will give an assaulter access to magic. So that would be how you build your ranger, your paladin, your bard, things like that. And then the
Interesting.
other 4 calls uh, are your magic wielding calls. So those are all considered clerics in Alpengard. So I have druid, exarch, monk, and wizard. And they all wield different types of magic. And as I said, they're all considered clerics. And I made sure that all 4 of them can, if they choose, take healing powers. Don't have to. You gain power accesses. But so often, in some systems, there can be that decision at the beginning of forming a PC party. All right, who's playing a healer?
Yeah.
And someone gets stuck in this role of just, I'm always the one healing people and keeping them up in combat. Well, I did make it harder to heal in Alpengard, but I made sure that all 4 clerics could heal. And I made them represent different philosophical traditions, but at the same
Interesting.
time, different type of magic. But those aren't straight jackets. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
you can absolutely branch
What are
out.
the 4
But
philosophical traditions, please?
oh, excellent. So they would be theism, well, and then 2 kind of main branches of pantheism, and then atheism. And I designed
Awesome.
Alpengard to really accurately represent these worldviews
Yeah.
and create respectful discussion, even in an area where we can vehemently disagree, but that doesn't mean we
Mm.
can't have a really constructive discussion. So typically your exarch is going to follow a theistic tradition. Typical a druid, the exarch wields reverential magic. A druid wields natural magic, and this is the sense that the universe is in itself divine. Versus a monk, who's also typically a pantheistic tradition, but more in the sense of the world is non-real, and we want to transcend it.
Yeah.
Under one scenario, reincarnation would be a good thing, that I'm back as part of this. Versus another scenario, it would be a bad thing. It means I'm still stuck in my ego and I haven't transcended. And then
Wow.
the wizard atheistic tradition would be more self-existent, uh, purely physical energy. Versus under a pantheistic tradition, it would be more self-existent spirits, and potentially with physical matter and energy that may or may not be real. And then the theistic tradition would be no, none of that is self-existent. God alone, the creator alone is self-existent. So I wanted to accurately represent those and put it out there for people's consideration discussion.
Really
That's
interesting.
very cool, actually. I was
Yeah, I
instantly
like that.
thinking of what I could do with those. Like I was like, okay,
You've
cool.
a-
Like,
and you've
Yeah.
clearly given that a lot of thought, which
Yeah.
I'm very impressed by that. Like the fact that you can talk about the kind of real world inspirations for your game, and I'm very impressed by that. I've got to say that is an awesome take.
Thank you. That means a lot. And chapter 11 is a full discussion of that. So I presented how these things operate in the real world and how they operate in Alpengard, including auxiliary views and how you can flesh things out and just enjoy the exploration and have a good discussion of, yeah, what would that be like? And then transition into world building, which is chapter 12, and how to take in things like economics and sociology, and how would this, and just make it educational, which was another one of those design principles, was to really call people up. And so much, I think sometimes in an entertainment focused society, things can be a little bit diluted. Versus, hey, let's really chew on the meat of this. How would this work if I have multiple monsters the size of Godzilla on my world? What do they eat? I mean, because Godzilla alone is going to have a territory the size of the entire Pacific.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thinking of food sources and just relating that to real life, or Pneuma itself, even as I am responsible for managing this resource. And so if parents are using this in education for their kids, because, hey, people hate math, but you get into a game like D&D, or I'm sure Era's End, that's going to force you to learn math, and that's going to be exciting. You know, you're both school teachers, so this is going to be an excellent tool to bridge that gap and get the youth of the UK or the USA or anywhere else excited about, hey, suddenly this concept isn't boring anymore. So
doing math with dice is fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. That's super cool. Does Alpengard have its own, have you created a lore for it, or are you like, oh, you can make your own lore for this world, or have you kind of set out a kind of template for people?
Yes, one of the tools there for people to be able to create their own worlds. So whole system, and then chapter 12 really focuses specifically on that. How are you going to work archaeology of the world, the economics of it, and make it semi-realistic. But then chapter 13 has World of the Stone Mirrors. So this is the primary Alpengard campaign world, and it's left philosophically open again for those worldview discussions, but it does have a very core story and lore to it without giving away the farms. There is a surprise built into it. If you read through chapter 13 and you get to an art piece that looks like a stained glass window, if you don't want to be surprised, keep reading. If you want to be surprised and you're not the game master, just stop right there.
Stained glass window of warning. Yeah,
exactly.
Nice.
So near secrets.
Yeah.
But yes, it's definitely a world where you have a supercontinent that was smashed by gemstones that fell from the sky. So picture a Pangea on steroids, but then an enormous diamond, an enormous ruby, or all the smaller gems and precious stones you could think of, an agate to turquoise, smashed in, split it up, and formed these seas. This is what mortals know, is that long ago this happened, and they're not sure, were we around when that happened, or did we pick up this lore from longer-lived creatures like titans and dragons and archons? So, but the seas are now separating a ton of huge mainlands and smaller islands. And so there's normal seawater in between them, but there are also, I'm going to get out a map that showcases it. And you can find it on my website too, on alpengard.com on the worlds page. If you click on the link up above and scroll down, then look for a link that says map:exile shores, and it'll give you...
And do check out the website, guys, because it's good.
So,
lush.
Oh, it looks so cool.
Lush.
This is the, you'll see, for example, here, Hessonite mirror. Sorry, no, it's not easy to see, but this orangish brown one here in the corner, so that is colored like Hessonite. So what people have learned in this world is that you have these gigantic seas, some are bigger than others, and for some reason there's this strange coloration to the water, almost like glacial silt, like you see in Canada and Alaska, where it's almost that liquid starch, milky look, but somehow you can still see down into it. And there's these magic that surround the seas, and it's almost as if each one has a different type of magic or personality to it. And so you have to know that, okay, this particular sea is ridiculously violent. But that's a trade route. If I want to get from kingdom, I have to cross the Onyx Mirror. That's really odd. But some people have found that if you make sacrifices to the Onyx Mirror, all of a sudden your trip tends to go better. And so each
dusty Onyx Mirror, man. What's going on down there? Someone send down the diving squad, quick. We need to try out what's going on in there.
Precisely. So there's that fun element to it. And then, of course, creating chapter 13 has pretty in-depth descriptions of the kingdoms and the peoples, orcs. What
racist lineages do you have in the game?
So I have elves.
Nice.
Which are classic fantasy elves, dwarves, which are dwarves, halflings, and then you have fauns, which are like satyrs. So some they don't all have horns, so I wanted to really diversify them. So some you could have horse or zebra legs instead of you could be ibex. I want a cool random looking.
That's cool.
And then your orcs are kind of half goblins and half orcs, so not quite as quite as kind of half demon as you'd see in
Yeah.
The Lord of the Rings or a thing like that, where it's just they're completely evil looking. But no, these are more kind of half human, half orcish. And so
Ah.
my camera went a little fuzzy. Let me see if I can fix that real quickly. Well, I apparently bumped it, so sorry about that.
All good. Don't worry. Awesome.
And then 5 is shalks, which is an Old English word for a sailor or a man or any type of worker like that. But I just used it as for any human. So
Nice.
you have different kindreds under each of them.
Yeah.
And I wanted to break out of some of the traditional things about each one. So the orcs, they are carnivorous. They tend to be the most aggressive.
Yeah.
But in the world of the Stone Mirrors, you're going to see a kingdom called Gaarlock, which is a huge, militarily powerful orcish realm, but they're actually really friendly. But at the same time, ridiculously arrogant, economic powerhouse, complete masters of wine making and booze making, you name it. So utterly snobby. And so you're going to come up with some orcs who just know they're better than you. So it was just fun to look in that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Make it part of the flavor.
Amazing.
Such an interesting world. I'm very, very interested. I always like to just hear about people's experience of this. Like, what's been your favorite part of the game design process? Like, what's been your favorite moment, favorite experience, I guess?
Well, that's tough. I think watching people make it their own. So one of my longest standing play testers, Jared, he always plays a monk because he is himself a great martial artist. So he always finds himself gravitating towards the monk. And one of the monkish powers is called inspirational platitudes. So what this is you pontificate with words of such profundity that you damage your enemy's minds, and you have to make an attack versus the opponent's mental defense, effectively called.
Incredible.
And so what he did is he took it and he ran with it, and he just pulled up his smartphone and said, you know what, I'm going to use an online platitude generator. So anytime he uses inspirational platitudes, he just hits the button, and any cliche you can think of, whether it's head him off at the pass, or I think one of the crowning moments is when he finished off BBEG with "This hurts me more than it hurts you." Came up, so
brilliant.
That's so good.
Absolutely brilliant moment. Totally memorable, and there have been things like that, or even Jesse coining the term Pneuma dump, and just people start to make it their own and develop their own lingo around it. And I have some of those posted on the talks section of my website just to make sure I give credit where it's due.
It is fun when people play the game that you've made. Like, obviously, we've only started alpha testing our game in the last 4 months. How long, Sam? Maybe getting...
So the current iteration of it, we started play testing regularly about probably 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we've been playing parts of the game
for a little
for
while.
quite a long time, but it's changed dramatically.
But that first, when you see people playing the thing that you've made, that is just it's a surreal experience. It's completely, you're like, whoa. I remember when we were playing it once and we finished the session, I was like, this is working. Like, it's working. Like we're playing it. Like, it works. But that is like, it's not perfect. It's not, there's still loads of notes that are coming up, but like we're doing it. Like, it's happening. We're rolling. Like,
you have a functional core.
Yeah. This is why.
Any standout moments for you with just the past 4 months?
Go on, Senna.
Go on, Connor. No, you go, because I actually don't have one yet.
One for me is just streamlining stuff, because I'm DMing at the moment. I DM all the time. At the moment, anyway. So and just like it's when we get a rule that just makes sense. So because we use pools and we use D12s, you can roll one pool and it can target multiple people, because each threshold doesn't matter. You're still rolling the same set of dice, and the realization that you can roll one set of dice, 3 people at 3 different armor levels, it just shrinks time massively. and it just makes the combat so more snappy. So I'm like, right, the boss does a breath weapon, hits 3 of you, roll 1 set of dice, 4 hit you, 5 hit you, 6 hit you. Cool. That's my whole breath weapon. And that would in D&D that would be 3 saving throws. Okay, I'm gonna roll this, and then and it'd go through. But the fact you can just roll, that was a big one for me as a DM and a kind of maker. Don't know story wise, but that was a good one for me.
Yeah.
Do you find one, Sam? Or?
So in the game sort of experience, there was something we had an idea for quite early on, which was we wanted our spells to be able to basically power up. And we were kind of playing with different names for it, and we had this kind of mess around, and we shelved this particular name. We shelved it. We were like, we can't find the right place for it, shelve it. And then later down the line, we were like, oh, it's come back. It's back. We can use that. And it's called Overcharge in our game. So we have like a mana bar, essentially. So rather than spell slots, you've got a mana bar. Spells cost amounts of your mana bar. But you can overcharge spells, which costs you additional mana to give them extra effects, power them up a bit, which means there's customizable spells in the moment, which is really, really cool. And we kind of have there's sort of 2 prevailing schools at the moment, where one of our friends overcharges almost every spell just to get absolute maximum, and you have others who are like really tentative. Yeah, the mana dump. Exactly. And then you have some who are very tentative and go, I'm not going to just like get rid of all my mana straight away. I'm going to use it tactically. And letting both people have their experience and being able to do that, being able to support multiple approaches to the same game with a mechanic, made it feel really like, I was like, we've got a gem there. We've got a gem. Yeah. Really, really cool.
That sounds amazing. And when you get into that and you see your game flowing and it clicks with you, again, I know you chatted about this with Elliot as well, but just what makes me think I could design a TTRPG? Yeah. Isn't that something an entire company does? Well,
yes.
Not necessarily. No. And you're well on your way.
Yeah.
So that's
Hopefully.
We're making, the thing is, like, it's all relative progress. Like we've been working on ours for 2 years. The first sort of 6 to 9 months was probably the first 6 months was actually working out like the core system, because we changed dice system quite dramatically. Like we made all of our exactly. So it's settled on the old D12, but we originally we were operating on a sort of D&D style like difficulty threshold, similar to what you've got in terms of there's a target number you've got to hit. But we were achieving it with 3d8, and we had these mechanics around 3d8 that they were sewing together, and we were like, we don't really like this, it's not feeling quite right. And then we had a chat, didn't we, Connor, about something different.
Our core principles. It was like one of us is because like we said, we used to play. We've said it a couple of times on the podcast. We used to play massively over the top D&D. So we were playing silly levels. We weren't really playing D&D. We were playing so above it. We were rolling too many dice and we were doing too many things. And it got to a point where people that weren't as good at mental arithmetic were really like struggling to keep up with the amount of math. And then we were rolling these 3d8s, and I was like, Sam, it's just adding more math. Like we're rolling 3 things, and then we're adding things together, and then we're adding a modifier, and that's actually going against one of the things that we'd set out not to do. And then Sam was like, okay, went away for like a day, came back and was like, what about like a threshold thing on like D6s? And then the D6s weren't big enough for the range, and then D8s weren't big enough for the range, and then D10s weren't big enough for the range, and then D12, no one uses them, and we're like, we'll give the D12 some love.
They're beautiful dice. They're really nice looking dice. They're great to roll. Like I really like D12s, so we settled on that. And once we worked out how that would work, which is basically, so say I have a might score, which is our kind of strength and constitution equivalent, is sort of together. So I have a might of 7, Connor has a might of 5. If I was using might for something, I would generate 7 dice. He would generate 5 dice, and they'd all be D12s. And then, depending how difficult the thing was, to say my might is targeting a goblin who has a really low armor, it might be I need to roll a 3 or higher on my D12s to get a success. Connor might be writing something in plate armor, so it's a 7 or an 8 to get successes on each dice, which sped up the whole thing. It made it quite easy for people to get. Once people roll a couple of times, people were like, okay, I now know how this works.
The maths became like a simple multiple multiplication, and it was always like, you've got 4 successes, each success is 3 damage, so it becomes 4 times 3. So every time you roll, it's just a simple...
Yeah, like it is simple.
This times that.
Yeah.
And if you're really bad at maths and you don't like it, then you can just have a phone and you just go,
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. There's my damage. Yeah. And there's no fail then as well, which I think some people don't like, some people do like, some people like the fail. Ours is super epic, so it's only ever glancing blows or like a kind of full hit, so there's like a change to combat in that sense. But
it's very rare for you to miss completely, whereas in D&D it was a binary yes or no. Whereas we were like, there's degrees of success. Like, oh yeah, I get 1, so I clip them a little bit, and I do a tiny bit of damage. But then sometimes you get 8 successes, and you do loads of damage, and you like get a massively significant hit, which feels really cool. So we like that.
Critical.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's weird. It's weird talking about our game. We don't really ever talk about our game on these things. Like, it was quite strange.
I'm super interested of it. I've enjoyed watched a couple of your Era's End videos, and I of course, as you're talking, I'm relating to how did I solve that in Alpengard? And Alpengard does have the hard hit and miss, but there's the Pneuma pool, and one of the things you can do is re-roll a dice. It's not just compressing it. If I can burn 1 Pneuma.
I'm gonna try again.
Yeah,
nice.
And if I previously already burned on, say, an improved roll, I'm going to re-roll it as an improved roll. So,
nice.
Again, it's fun watching, as I'm sure you do with your players, with the mana, and just some playing it, just super unloading, safe. Doing the mana dump, and others just, no, I'm holding back because I don't know what Connor is going to throw at me.
Yeah.
So they're playing it cautiously. Well, when those re-roll situations come where, wow, I missed the BBEG's Fettle defense, and which is kind of your constitution defense versus diseases, poisons, things that challenge you internally. Should I burn Pneuma on the reroll? Well, wait a minute. I was saving that I was going to throw a 5 Pneuma power my next round. So, and this is pushing me up against it. So watching the wheels turn as people are playing, it's great.
I really like the option that you can spend resource to make your rolls like succeed or have a higher chance to succeed, because there's a lot of times when you're playing stuff like D&D and you go like, I'm going to make a roll, but there's no way to like improve this roll. I'm just going to roll, and then if it fails, it fails. I like there being some like, I really that this would like this is the moment. This is something epic as a player anyway. Something epic. I really want to get off this cool thing that I have in my brain. I like there to be in a bit like I do want it to happen, so I'm gonna spend something to try and make this really epic story moment, because it comes down to then telling a story. I can do something epic, and having that option to then spend something to make my epic moment happen facilitates storytelling, and I like that.
Agreed. And that way your players, granted, sometimes those epic failures can be incredibly memorable, but I know what it's like as a player to be sitting there thinking, I need this to succeed. And so typically if you burn enough Pneuma, you will make it happen, but it's a double-edged sword, because guess what? Now you don't have the Pneuma remaining for your next shot at it. But yeah, I really like your system, guys. It's so cool.
Thank you.
It sounds like you built a really, from what I saw, epic clash of Titans and God. Max power.
It's a big boy. Like it's not low fancy. It's the other end. It's like you're all demigods. You're all like way above everybody else. You are kind of.
We had a bit of a principle of a question where we make something. We go, does this make sense? And we go, could Hercules do that?
Yeah.
If Hercules probably could do it, then it's probably about in the right ballpark of what we want. We want you to be a demigod straight away, and then you become more than that, later down the line. We put a lot of lore in so far. People, in the same way for you, like people can play our game without using our lore, but we're going to put our lore in because it adds flesh, doesn't it?
Some people don't
and
want
there's cool
to.
stories to tell. Some people don't like it. I don't use D&D lore when I'm using D&D content, but I do. Sometimes I go, oh, I really like this character.
Concept,
this character's going to appear. Yeah, this concept's going to appear. Like Vecna appeared in one of my things, in one of my games that I DM, just because I was not even as like a major BBG. He was like, he turned up. He fought them as a big adversary twice. But that's all he needed to be. He didn't need to be the be-all, end-all. It was like he was a big player. And then you get the thing where people go, oh, wow, Vecna's here? Oh, right. Oh, sick. Okay. Which is good fun. It's good fun. Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool. I think Alpengard, and again, speaking of everybody filling a niche, Alpengard is more at the other end, because it's low powered to the point where it's I wouldn't call it minimal magic, but there's less magic. Even if the character is still vulnerable. And versus, I deliberately, in Alpengard, you usually start at level 4 because levels 1 through 3 reflect childhood. So
interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think. So I mean, one of the things I noticed that one of my design principles was also making sure everything's game balanced, so that nobody feels overpowered and underpowered. And I'm guessing you're following that with Arizona.
Correct.
You're only guys, but the players are all on the same level.
Yeah.
And I wanted a million strong army of peasants to be incredibly dangerous, as opposed to, because I want people to still be relevant. So I had those stats so that, you know what, if you're the game master, Connor, you decide to run an Alpengard game, you know what, let's run a session where the players get to know each other. Let's start you at 8 years old, level 1. You're able to be in combat, but you're obviously not very dangerous compared to an adult. But you could still go on a quest and defeat a giant rat. And then get your personalities going. And I have all 5 folks. They age at the same rate. So it's not like elves come of age at 120 years old. No, it's all level 4 is basically age 15 to 18. So your quinceañetas or your bar bat mitzvah, that's sort of, yes, now I am an adult and capable of really coming into my own. But you can run adventures. And you know what? Let's face it. An 8-year-old kid with a poison dagger could take down.
Yeah,
exactly. But I mean, people are still potentially lethal. Yeah. So you can have those threats, and a character could eventually get into the point in the story. Wow, I have a ridiculously powerful character, and somebody got me with an apex poison, and she was 7 years old, and that is literally an assassin who did kill or nearly killed me. And it might be an inglorious ending, but it makes the point of human vulnerability.
There's some real vulnerability. There's some real stakes then. That's nice. Okay, I do like that. There's one of the things we haven't really touched on is those kind of low, gritty stakes games. So maybe we have to check out Alpengard Sound, get a couple of plays. I think also you were saying about like the 1 to 4 being like the young levels. I do session zeros where I one-on-one a lot of my players before we do a campaign. I was just thinking of your character Belladonna, Sam, who your session 0 was when you were a kid, like you were a child, and I was like, I could have put you at level 1 in Alpengard. You could have been a literal kid, like that could have been sick.
It was crazy.
Yeah,
equally extremely traumatizing.
It was a very traumatizing
backstory. Was very sad, but awesome. That's so very, very cool.
That's cool.
The flavor of just gods and titans, and because that's thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
When we were playing D&D, we honestly, the last boss of our D&D campaign had 3,500 health and 32 AC.
Yeah,
we weren't really playing D&D at that point. We were like, right, we need a new system because the problem is me as a DM, I'm too yes and I just be like, my players want this.
You're not too yes and. You're the right amount of yes and for the game we all wanted to play.
True.
I wanted to play exactly what we played, which was I was a monk who eventually I could, in a turn, I could spend loads of resources to have 5 attacks. And I had loads of damage. So I'd be like, I could slap out like 350 damage. Backflipping all over the shop, killing gods. Like, that's what I want to be doing. Like, that is 100% what I want to be doing. So, but it's horses for courses, isn't it? Some people like a certain type of game.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think we were quite clear from the start of like the game we wanted to play with our game, or the experience we wanted to invoke with our game. And like I say, we haven't touched really on the lower fantasy. You're quite clearly on the lower fantasy. That's the story you wanted to tell. And what I want to say to people listening, like, there's no right or wrong. You know, there's just different ways to play, and all are awesome.
Yeah, it's about having, you get your concept, don't you? You go, right, I want the low stakes, do some seafaring, do some like exploring. I want there to be real weight to my characters. Like anyone could die. Do you know what I mean? Then you choose a game that facilitates that play style, don't you? That is the way. Yeah, I think we haven't done that as much as players in our campaigns. We've done the classic. We'll force D&D to fit everything we want
to make it work.
Instead of doing what you probably should do as a player, which is go find games that facilitate the stories that you're trying to tell, and therefore giving you access to really. Question just came into my mind. How do you function? Because you said you need full nutrition, full water. How do they work that? How do you work that into the story? Do they need to eat? Does food have like a certain amount of nutritional value? And if you're eating rubbish food, it's got less? Like, how does it work?
Yes, I didn't dig too much into nutritional values and counting calories.
McDonald's, too nutrition. Like,
Taco Bell, McDonald's. I'm having your Pneuma.
Your Pneuma's gone. Sorry. Yeah.
I let people have the fun of, okay, there are trail rations and a certain amount of water, but of course, if it's super hot out and you're sweating like crazy, or if you're high altitude, I'm a backpacker. So one of the things that you don't notice at high altitude is I'm not sweating, and yet I'm completely dehydrated because it's diffusing across your skin. And all of a sudden, I can be in, I've hiked all over the West, and you're a few thousand meters above sea level, and all of a sudden you get the shakes. And you realize, wait a minute, that is a hypothermic symptom. It is almost body temperature outside. What is going on? Well, I wasn't hydrating enough. And I was hiking, and just because my clothes, maybe I got sweaty armpits, but the rest of my clothes don't feel sweaty. But the reality was I was losing water very rapidly without realizing it. So I wanted to bring that element into Alpengard, and such that if players are, I'll give them the chances to water up, do those kinds of practical things to carry water with them. But if I put them in a waterless desert and they aren't managing their resources wisely, I will punish them for
like every DM should.
Yes.
Not really, but just to get them, especially as new players are getting used to the system, I'll let them hey, you missed with that and you did a standard roll. Would you like to burn Pneuma and pretend you did an improved roll instead? Sure, I'll do that at the beginning. But by the time we were playtesting things at the 30th level, there was no mercy.
No mercy.
The game, and you are out of water. Great. So now all of a sudden I have them on the top of the fantasy equivalent of the Andes or the Himalayas. Okay, they are taking ice. They are melting it. They are finding a way to get water. They are eating the things they kill. Oops, one of them is playing a fawn, which is an herbivorous folk, which is my ancestry or race. Where is he going to get his food? Because
no leafy greens up here on the Alps.
Yeah, exactly. So, but what if you kill a plant monster? And all of a sudden, the own character is very happy with a bunch of fruits. Meanwhile, the carnivorous orc is just, thanks, Game Master. Something that so I can eat. So it definitely creates fun.
I see it also like as a player being like, right, the shortest route is through the desert, or the long route we go around and it's like grassland, and we have access to more animals and water, but do we need to get there quickly? Do we have to? How many rations have we got? Oh, okay, we've got this many rations. Are we going to risk? Are we going to risk the desert? Are we going to? Facilitating those type of conversations is quite cool.
Absolutely, and as game masters, you can put them in that bind where they don't know how much time they have. Somebody's kidnapped. Somebody's going to be assassinated. Whatever it is. Oh yeah, that noble woman over there. How soon do we need to get to there to warn her? Do we take the nice smoother grassland, or do we blitz across the barren desert? And you put the timer on it, and maybe they spent too much time in town gathering information.
Ah,
And in the back of your
Cool.
mind, you
you
have your
silly
clock.
geese.
Okay, I've given you 12 days, and you just spent 3 days gathering information. And they get there, hey, we took the grassland route because we felt it was safer. Well, I'm sorry. Uh, the kidnapping victim was disposed of a long time ago. Sorry, bring up something. But I mean,
Yeah.
you put a real stakes
Yeah, nice.
situation in that. Or if we're great, the dragon was going to be birthed. You had a chance to stop the dragon from hatching, and somebody resurrected some horrific mega dragon. Well, guess what?
Not the
It's
mega dragon.
Smaug is now rampaging around
no.
because you
Yeah.
so
Brilliant.
Amazing.
definitely.
I
pretty
know,
great situation.
like Avantgarde's out. You can get it. You can buy it right now.
Yes.
What's the future for Alpengard? Where are we? Where are you heading? What's your plans? What I'd love to hear them.
Definitely big plans. Next step is the monster book. So core rule book. This is all the rules and tools for players and game masters. There is an adventure in the back that goes with chapter 13. So there are some monster stats in there, but the monster book is not out yet. So what I've done is on the website, if you go to alpengard.com and click on foes up top and then scroll down, you will find a list of prototype monsters built in Microsoft Word and turned into PDF. So they're not pretty, they're not fancy, but they are statistically playable.
Yeah.
And so there's a pretty good amount there. But that's definitely
Nice.
the next big step is
Lush.
marketing Alpengard since it is available now.
Yeah.
And then working on that. And then of course, as creatives, you always have something else in the back of your mind. So I want more campaign worlds.
Yes.
And just creating adventures. So those are definitely on the
Incredible.
horizon.
Nice.
When
Nice.
that horizon will get here, but
Yeah. I said I really wanted to. I asked you this earlier on, before we started recording.
yes,
Your website's incredible.
It's so good.
It's just incredible. Tell us about it. Tell us about your friend who made it. Tell us about it.
brilliant. Yeah, no, I love to hear that the website is so usable and beautiful.
Yeah.
I have to give all the credit to my friend Dave Enns, also known as Dave the Horn Guy. He's born Canadian, so now he lives in America, but he's also been featured on Britain's Got Talent and America's Got Talent and
Amazing.
Germany's Got Super Talent. So, but in addition to all of his performing techniques, he's also a really good web maker. So I definitely took the art that had been created for my game, and I outlined what I wanted for each page and just gave Dave my marching orders. And but made myself open to his input as well, because unlike me, he actually knows what he's doing when it comes to web design, and he just ran with it. So he would say,
Nice.
hey, do this, and I would look and I say, yes, please, thank you. I'm glad
you.
I wouldn't have in a million years. And at the same time, also, he just took my concepts and made them look good. So I followed. With Alpengard, I wanted to be very methodically organized. So as you read it, you might get the sense that, well, this dude's a little anal retentive.
Yeah.
Which is accurate. So I like order.
Nice.
It has its logical place. And so I try to make the website like that too. But Dave, as an artist, he was able to bring it to life.
Amazing.
As well. And for anybody who's interested in him, his information is in the back of the book, as all my artists. Character documents are in there. They're downloadable on the Friends page on the website, including pre-generated characters. And you can also find copies of this in the back of the book. So it's again
Awesome.
but that's the character record sheet, and there are multiple pages for power lists and.
Nice.
Incredible.
Yeah, so all readily available, and yes, did my best to make it fit the Alpengard brand, but I definitely hired designers.
For sure.
My friend he brought that to life, and
I mean, it's a big enough thing making your own game. There's no way you can become a designer and design it all at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just not. That's why you bring
It's too
people
much.
together to make it all, isn't it?
Right. Well, we all have different gifts and talents, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Sam, you and Connor, you both have things you're bringing to the table for
sure.
Arizona.
Yeah.
You complement each other. And again, you create that in your PC parties. One of those design principles of making sure people can fill niches is that I feel valuable while I am playing, bringing something to this party, because we all want to feel valued in real life, whatever our professions are, what we're bringing to the table. So I think these games can really help facilitate that and allow people to flesh out uniqueness, even with skills and talents that they don't have in real life. I'm not a performer, but I can make a character who is a performer, and I'm guessing you can in Arizona too. It would be a very godlike character, so a really good performer.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's
Very cool.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. With
Brilliant.
Arizona, was there anything you wanted to reveal about the lore or anything on your end? Or I know it's under wraps of the creative process. You're kind of striking that balance of how much do I put out there and how
Yeah,
much
it's
do I-
always that way. Well, the one thing
Right.
we've talked about a lot is the Godwake, which is kind of the overarching lore premise to Era's End, as it is the end of an era. Sam, do you want to talk about it? Do you want me to take it?
Yeah, sure. I can take this one. So, essentially, we have pantheons of gods. The gods themselves are extremely powerful, and what's happened in Era's End is the gods have fallen. They've either died or they've lost divinity, and their powers, what we call the mantles, basically, of their godhood. It's the mantle of flame, if you're the god of fire, or something up to that ilk. The power has been shattered and has kind of fallen to the world of Castra, which is our world. Basically, your job, as well as all the bad guys, is to just accrue shards of godhood until you eventually ascend. So that's your thing, is running around finding these gems, but so are the bad guys. So it's this constant, like you were saying, if you go this way, somebody might, disappear. For us, it's like, okay, if you don't go to that shard, or you don't destroy that shard, or you don't take it, a bad guy could get it, and then that bad guy is going to be stronger the next time you fight them. And you might end up fighting the god of death, not some lich
If
guy.
somebody
Do you know what I
ascends,
mean? Like,
it becomes quite bad.
somebody
But
it
you have like
becomes very bad.
despots. There's like despots around. Maybe like some prophet has found 3 shards of death and now is basically can rule the kingdom. And if they get like 7 more, they are going to become a god. So everyone's like, well, they've got 3. Maybe we need to deal with that.
You need to deal with them.
And
Yeah.
so it's a complete fluctuation power, and the players are either you join in and you try to ascend, or you're trying to stop other people ascending and becoming god. Because once you become a god, that's it. You're kind of locked in, and then you start ruling things. So
And you could have a very interesting antagonist who is in fact trying to destroy every possible gem because maybe she feels that mortals should simply not have that and didn't think that the gods were doing a very good job previously. So let's just eliminate this capability. So that could be an interesting.
That's awesome.
it's always like say
That's
just
an
DM
awesome
or
take.
something and can like make stories out of stuff. It's wild.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Clearly, you have a very good story framework and an excellent system in place. So
Should be good.
look
Yeah.
forward to that. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and we'll definitely play each other's games soon for sure.
Yeah,
I know
you were talking about that with
Sedge.
Sedge, weren't you? You were talking about
Doing
us
some
playing
play
Garen
testing
Alpengard
would be
sometime.
really cool. I think.
Absolutely, I'd love to. And if you want to play Alpengard, I don't know if you use Roll20
Definitely.
or we could
Yeah.
just over Discord if you don't want to use the map. But I would love to coordinate a game with you guys and introduce you to Alpengard. And really, really
For
cool.
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just grateful you guys had me on here as well. So,
No, it's been
Thanks for
honestly
coming.
absolute pleasure. It's been
Really
so
great.
lovely to talk to you. Yeah, we're so blessed with this. Like we just get to talk to people who are making awesome stuff, and it's just such a blessing to have people on and just chat about their awesome stuff they're making. It's sick. We love it.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
you guys too. Just great to hear about everything you're doing. So thank you for taking the time
Thank
to
you.
explain it. I can't wait to see where you take Arizona.
Thank you. We're excited about the process, but it's been really, really nice to talk to someone about it as well. Who's like you say, you produce your game, so it's good to go. I think we probably need to close out about here, but I just want to say, Seth, thank you so much for coming on. It has been, like Connor said, a massive pleasure. You're a really, really nice guy. You speak really well, so it was really awesome to have you on the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You guys are great. I could tell from your videos, I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to connect with these guys. Great. A couple of real gentlemen. So thank you, Sam. And yeah, absolutely. Best wishes with everything. I look forward to connecting with you again in the near future.
Sure.
Thank you so much. And Sedge, we're about to do. I'm gonna say our slogan. You're gonna say yours. So keep on rolling.
Keep questing.
Yes.
Oh.
Awesome.